So we return to the main series and to Mobiletropolis with Amy and Antoine invading the Iron Dominion. There's a good page of Amy being a badass, but it's mostly just her and Antoine giving the audience a bit of a recap on the situation. It's not entirely organic, and the conversation reeks of serialized series writing, which it is, so it's not a huge fault, just something I noticed. They get surrounded, but are rescued by Jeffrey St. John. He was the guy partnered with Rouge back in issue 187. The three of them flee and make it to an underground hideout where they find Bunny. Nicole appears and Amy explains to Jeffrey that she is currently working as a double agent. Nicole informs them all that the prisoners are going to be publicly legionized at the Coliseum soon, which Amy explains is basically like roboticizing a person, but they are just instead turning them into brainwashed cyborgs. Bunny laments their inability to save everyone, but Amy leads a charge into the Coliseum. Elsewhere, Snively goes back to check on Eggman, who almost seems lucid. The doctor rambles about how Sonic, due to being exposed to a lot of chaos energy, will always be an unpredictable variable, an anomaly of sorts in his plans, but he says he's figured out a way to account for that. He asks Snively to let him return to his work, and he gets laughed at. Snively gloats that he has power, authority, and found love with the Iron Queen. Why would he ever give that up? Eggman laughs and hits Snively with the cold hard truth. Regina doesn't love him and is only manipulating him, and even if that weren't the case, Snively is a coward who would throw her under the bus the minute he needs to save his own skin. As Snively marches out of the prison, Eggman taunts him, saying that he'll be back. He'll be back. Amy's crew makes their way to the Coliseum. Jun-kun doesn't understand why Regina's having him sit with her when he could be dealing with the freedom fighters instead. Because of how successful they've been at protecting the city, Regina theorizes that someone has tapped into communications and is using the legionization as bait to lure the freedom fighters into a fight with Jun-kun, which pleases him. The first to be legionized is Rotor, who reminds Snively of the time that he used to be a freedom fighter, but his back gives out before he can even attack Snively. Jeffrey opts to take caution, but ends up giving into Amy and Antoine's ambition and jumps out ready to fight. Amy smashes the Legionizer, Jeffrey distracts the Iron Dominion, and Antoine frees the remaining prisoners. Jeffrey gets real cocky, but ends up getting smacked by the Iron King. While Jeffrey's down, Jun-kun goes for the kill, but Amy steps in, saves Jeffrey, and handles this absolute monster with the greatest of ease. I love her, man. Amy gets so much flack in the fanbase, regardless of continuity, and it's so undeserved. She's so peak in this, I swear. In the midst of the scramble, Regina steps up, boasting about her victory. "How could you ever hope to win against me?" she asks. But a loud crack comes from the sky and soars in the tornado. "Looks like the cavalry just arrived, Your Highness. Pack it in early. You're done," Jeffrey says with full confidence in Sonic. She summons Nicole to knock Sonic out of the sky, but Nicole instead traps the Iron Queen. Nicole reveals to Regina that she's been free all along, and she retaliates by using some of the nanites against Nicole. Amy is holding her own against Jun-kun, and Sonic is able to get a good hit on him because of it. It's one hell of a duo. Sally puts her foot down with Snively, pondering how, despite all the mercy she's shown, he squandered her generosity. He's cocky, but once Khan announces the fall of the Four Houses pact to the Yagyu, things stop looking so bright for the Iron Dominion. As the Yagyu leaves, Lienda takes a look around and realizes that this is her opportunity to overthrow Regina and claim the Eggman Empire. Regina hears this, knocks Nicole back, and takes control of the Dark Age Legion's cybernetic part. But thanks to the chip that Dimitri modified, Lienda can nullify her effects on them. Again, this is a weird gimmick to me, but it has Regina stunned for a second. And then, damn! Regina set off the explosive in Lienda's body. I'm in shock. I know I make Lienda seem like a laughingstock, but I didn't expect the old girl to be out of the game so quick. The Legion asks for Snively's commands, but he's overwhelmed and runs away screaming. Meanwhile, the heroes aren't so successful at taking down Jun-kun. But, as per instructions, SPO delivers Khan the fan of Feng Xing, and he uses it to blow away the Iron King. Meanwhile, Snively races to the Acorn prison to free his uncle. Snively frantically explains the situation, and just like the doctor said, Snively succumbs into his own cowardice, and the two leave for the Egg Dome. Sally lays the facts down for the Iron Queen. The Four Houses are disbanded, the Legionnaires fled, the Iron King's gone, and she's outnumbered. Sally manages to convince Khan that capturing her is more important than revenge prior to this. Regina doesn't even give up, and conjures a dragon. Tail swoops in and fires at her with a tornado, and the freedom fighters go to town on the dragon. She tries to fly away, saying that she'll get her revenge next time, but Sonic says there won't be a next time, pursuing her, jumps above above her head and spin slashes the dragon in half. The Iron Queen's defeated. The day is saved, but now Eggman is back in business. Every year on the first Saturday of May is known as the Free Comic Book Day, where publishers make comics for stores to hand out for free. This is the first I've ever heard of this holiday, and I'm assuming I get this video done on time, it will be this Saturday. Try calling your local comic store to see if there's anything going on. Anyways, I bring this up to say that Archie Sonic Comics also have a line of these free annual comics, and the 2010 edition is a direct follow-up to the previous issue. So let's take a look. This comic is pretty light on plot. Sonic is scouting the Egg Dome for the Doctor. As he's running around, he's reminiscing and recapping the Iron Queen arc. Eggman monitors Sonic from the shadows, hiding. Sonic can't find Eggman, so he's ready to go home when suddenly an amalgamation of old badniks appear in front of him, calling itself the Hydra. Snively explains to Eggman that Robotnik built that machine long ago, and it's a miracle that it even survived. As Eggman studies the Hydra, Sonic joyfully tears it apart, or so he thought. So funny thing, actually, there's like a little ad in the middle of this comic, and I thought the comic ended here, so I deadass, I had to go back and fix the script because I legit did not finish it. But here's the finished part. Or so he thought. Sonic gets overwhelmed by the Hydra, which prompts Eggman to build something to help Sonic defeat it. Confused as all hell, Snively asks why. Eggman explains that he wants complete victory over Sonic, and he doesn't want Robotnik's old designs to rob him of that. It's very goofy, but it's one of the things that I find most charming about Eggman, his ego. Before Sonic's beaten, Eggman sends a bird machine to swoop in and self-destruct the Hydra. Sonic deduces that Eggman is definitely in there somewhere, because how does a badnik that survived a nuke suddenly self-destruct? Sonic is fatigued, so he decides to leave, but shouts that he knows the Doctor's in there, and that he will be back. And that's all she wrote. Nice way to reinstate the status quo. Sonic and Tails spent a week coming back and forth to the Egg Dome to find Eggman, but so far, no luck. Turns out that the Dark Egg Legion saved Leenda, and Eggman's fixing her up, all the while taunting Snively, saying he doesn't trust him. Eggman's really on a high. Khan and Sally share another tender moment while overlooking the Dragon Kingdom, knowing that there's so much rebuilding to be done. Khan asks Sally to be his queen. They kiss, and she tells him that she has some rebuilding of her own to do. Sonic, both of them say, knowing full well that that's the exact reason she shot him down. She explains that she still has feelings for Sonic, and it wouldn't be fair to enter a new relationship with that in mind. I'm not gonna be a relationship guru, but despite her having the maturity to acknowledge that, I'm not so sure if going back to your ex is the brightest idea, but again, I'm not gonna get into all that. I'll let you guys judge. Khan actually takes this pretty well and says that she's always welcome back. SBO reconciles with the Chaotix, who all decide that full transparency is required from everyone before they continue working together from now on. As they sit around a campfire, SBO explains everything to them and even shares details about them. Knuckles, assuming SBO knew about his forefathers who he searched for, asked him how he could spend all that time by his side knowing everything and saying nothing, to which SBO replies that he doesn't have any information on them. Julie Sue chimes in that if he did though, would he have shared? And SBO explains that it's not that simple. SBO tells Charmy about his past of being a prince, but his memory was destroyed by the egg grape, so he doesn't remember it. Mighty chimes in vouching for SBO, but SBO shares info relating to Mighty's sister being alive and part of a Dark Egg Legion chapter. For context real quick, what I understand from this at least is that Mighty's backstory is that he watched his family get killed right in front of him, I think, or something to that degree, and it's his main motivator. So when you tell this man that his family is still alive, or at least his sister, the craziest whirlwind of emotions must have been going through his head. You better believe that guy was pissed from SBO keeping a secret. Tails is concerned for Sonic obsessing over finding Eggman, but Nicole's scanners pick up something and they run over to a closet where they find a box containing Dimitri. Ray finds Mighty packing his things to go find his sister. He isn't mad, but he's not pleased either. Ray wants to tag along with Mighty and he lets him, telling him that they need to say their farewells before leaving. Sally uses her warp ring to return home. All is well, it seems. Sonic pops up, asking how Khan is doing, and Nicole leaves to help Tails with Dimitri. Sally treats Sonic out to lunch, and like clockwork, everything is just like old times. So, the Iron Queen arc was really something, huh? It had this underlying theme of queens empowering their kings though, like Regina with Snively and Jun-kun, and Sally with Monkey Khan. Hell, even Antoine stepped up more because of his wife. Speaking of the romance, I'm not really big on the relationship drama in Archie because most of it's pretty corny, let's be real, but I actually like the idea of Khan and Sally. Khan is more familiar with diplomacy than Sonic, which would make him more ideal, but her and Sonic have history, so there's that. Sally jumping from Khan to Sonic at the end was jarring to me though, because it happened so quick. And while it didn't really bother me that much, Sonic treating Amy to dinner to get over Sally was sort of whack. Above anything though, Eggman keeping it a buck with Snively and calling out how he was gonna fail was indicative of how intelligent the guy is in more than just one way. Amy being a badass and taking on a guy Sonic and Khan was struggling with was a highlight for me. I don't care if it doesn't make sense power scaling wise, showing her to be capable as everybody else is always appreciated. Overall, I love this arc, but before I end the video here, I also wanted to throw in a bonus and cover the Tails arc that comes up next. So let's jump into that. Trouble in Paradise is a chapter of Sonic Universe that covers Tails taking Antoine and Bunny on a private island he discovered in the past for their honeymoon. Unbeknownst to them, a chapter of the Dark Egg Legion called the Battlebirds monitor them from what seems to be a nearby island. The couple settle into their camp, and Tails tinkers in the workshop he built on that island. The Battlebirds attack them during the night, with Antoine and Bunny ending up being captured, and the 16th Battle Cuckoo, Speedy, giving Tails a run for his money. Battle Cuckoos are the leaders of the Battlebirds, by the way. The guy got kind of annoying real fast because he's got an issue with anything other than birds flying. Tails nearly outsmarts him, but Speedy gets an edge. He's instructed to go back to his base though, and Tails decides to rest before making his move. Bunny and Antoine come up with an escape plan, but before it goes underway, the 15th Battle Cuckoo, Speedy's dad, mistakes Bunny for a Dark Egg Legion commissar because of her robotics, so she plays her role pretty well. When Tails awakes, he gets his drill boat back and he comes up with a plan. Antoine gets free and makes his escape, which causes Speedy to grow suspicious of Bunny. Tails and Antoine head toward a cavern conduit that Tails discovered. Before I continue, there's a bunch of retreading old character moments for Tails in this arc. There's a bully who calls him a freak for having two tails. There's the comparisons he makes between himself and Sonic, and there's Antoine unintentionally belittling Tails. A part of me thinks it's a neat idea to have insults that Tails once took personally be something that he shrugs off or flat out ignores now. It shows growth, but in another sense, something about that feels uninteresting. We've seen this growth already for this character, quite a few times now actually. This isn't a critique, it's just something I noticed. Anyway, Speedy finds out that Bunny is lying and has the mechanic aboard his battleship build a new weapon. Tails and Antoine break in through the caves and meet up with Bunny, who managed to nab schematics of the battleship. Tails comes up with a plan to take the whole thing down, so they make their way up to the storage bay, where they are greeted by the mechanic and the mole mech. Tails, Antoine, and Bunny are overwhelmed at first, but after Tails comes up with a plan, they are able to coordinate a team attack to do damage on the ship and defeat the mole mech. Turns out Speedy was inside the mech the whole time, and as Tails helps him out of it, he gains newfound respect for his rival. Alarms sound, and Tails and company make their way out of the battleship and finish their vacation. Meanwhile, the Battlebirds begin seeking out the Babylon rogues, who turn out to be rogue members of the Battlebirds. So that wraps up today's video. You know, when I first read Archie Sonic last year, it was from issue 160 to issue 212, and without the Sonic Universe inclusions. So not only am I glad to have done this series of covering a story that I love, but I'm glad that the additional context elevated the story for me. Everything going forward will be completely new to me, and I look forward to it. Last video, I mentioned putting Archie on the back burner to make some more content for the channel, and I think this is a comfortable place to put the comics down for just a little bit. Don't worry though, I plan to return with better edited videos for the pre-boot Archie era. That aside, though, look forward to my next video, subscribe please, and until then, spread love y'all.